Lakers coming up here tomorrow. Maybe what did you think from the last game that either fix, correct, or do better planning?
I say the possession game. They beat us on by a lot. We let guys like Vanderbilt come in and Smart and DeAndre. They did a good job of crashing and getting extra possession. So we have to close out possessions better, and that'll be one of our main focuses.
When you look at just you guys past the fourth way into the season, what do you like about where you are right now, and what do you feel like are things that you guys can improve?
I think we've consistently played hard. We've been in a lot of dog fights, a lot of late game situations, a lot of situations to learn from. So, moving forward, hopefully we don't make the same mistakes, specifically late game, and close out some of these close games better.
Against the Warriors, you debuted the new shoe, the PEs. Can you tell us kind of the inspiration behind those?
Yeah, the Spiridon. Forgot what year it came out, probably around like 97, 98. Was a big inspiration for the model overall, and I think pregame versus the Lakers, I wore the OG colorway with the red swoosh, and now we flipped it with obviously the home organization colors, and seemed like a lot of people enjoyed them.
Just kind of curious, what have you thought about the way Osa played for you guys and steps in and against teams that where you can switch more?
Yeah, he can switch. He communicates. He's a high IQ player, so he understands what's going on. He's always a player or two ahead, and he gives us a lot of space and speed on the offense, and also to be able to play 5 out.
Have you seen any tangible differences between Kaman and Rashir when they've had those reps down in the G League to be able to come up and play and practice with you guys?
Yeah, I mean the NBA is it's not much practice time, but I did tune into the games, and I like to see them get those opportunities and let them be the focal point of the offense and defense down there. I think those are good reps for them. And then pre-practice and their stay ready group, everything's always competitive, and everyone's trying to get wins.
But with Luka and DA in LA and the history with Dylan and LeBron and the way that last game went, does that feel kind of like a budding rivalry?
I wouldn't say that. It's early in the season. I think we're in the same division, so we always play each other 4 times, and there's something there. But I think you have to have playoff experience against each other to actually be considered a real rivalry.
Is there one that you would consider that you've had in your career?
I mean, teams change so much, but I'd say Clippers back in the day, Dallas was one. And then we had a series versus the Lakers also, but it's 2 totally different teams now.
When you have a finish like that, though, do you look forward to playing them kind of quickly like that, kind of a round 2 type thing at all?
Yeah. It's kind of playoff style where, you make your adjustments and you move on. Golden State just did it to us. We beat them at home, and they beat us on the road. And Lakers, was a flip. We beat them in their place, and they came here and beat us. So some of those could matter at the end of the season if it comes down to a tiebreaker also. So, these games are important.
But with how intense you guys play, how do you sort of walk the fine line between having that intensity and using it to your advantage instead of, having that intensity sort of spill over and result in technical fouls and things like that?
Yeah, just channeling it the right way. Understand that the refs make a call, and that's usually the call. It's usually not going to change. We're just looking for consistency out there, and that's not always the case. But whatever you can do to, channel, that fight and that anger into the next possession or doing the next right thing, the better off for our team.
Is that easier said than done?
Yeah.
I don't know if you even paid attention to the 2-minute report that they said that you committed the foul. It should have been earlier or later. Did that even do anything for you to know that they made a mistake? Or?
No, it doesn't. I think they should get rid of it overall. I think it just adds more frustration to everybody. It kind of calls out referees in a way, but a lot of those plays too, I try to see it from both sides, and not specifically that call, but some calls, you put yourself in the shoes of the other team, you're like, okay, I could see why, I'd want that call if I was the other team. But other than that, yeah, it's just a waste.
You're not the only star player that has talked about wanting consistency, but what does that look like?
I'd say just consistency in the game. I think one of my big problems is I watch all the games, mostly every night, and, expect to get similar calls to people that have the same usage rate as me. But, that's not the case. And but in the game, with the referee crew that you have, I think if, similar plays happen on both sides, they should be called or not called.
How goes it for you guys to have these days leading up to Christmas here at home, and then even on Christmas Day, like you'd be able to spend it here with the family and everything?
Yeah, it's nice. I think we have a later flight out on Christmas Day to get to New Orleans, but I usually always do Christmas earlier in the morning anyways, and we'll get that family time, and then time to link with our other family, hit the road, and handle business.
Is there a guy in particular that maybe on the team that has more holiday Christmas spirit than anyone else?
I wouldn't say one more than the other. The organization just got us, some remote control trucks and cars, and it's good to see everybody turn into a kid again. I think we have to get this floor repolished the way people are doing burnouts out here, but yeah.
Do you have all your shopping done? Like you say, like a frantic day for you?
Most of it. Yeah. Once you're Santa, you kind of get anxiety around these times of the year, just making sure everyone's happy. But, my family's really easygoing, and, always have been. I thank them a lot for that, where, they don't ask for a lot, but, I try to take care of them the most I can.
Look, your shot always looks so repeatedly smooth. Do you have days where you come in, practice game, where it just doesn't feel quite right?
You said my shadows?
Your shot.
Oh, yeah. I'd always try to leave the gym with it feeling right. That's one of my goals. But I watch a lot of film, and then sometimes I think I'm watching too much, where you get in your head. So most of this game's mental, but it's always nice to look back at highlights or lowlights, what you're doing right when you had it rolling, what you're doing wrong when you couldn't get it going.
Getting any good presents for the pups too?
Oh yeah, they're well taken care of. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks. Appreciate it.